just you get to choose. Right? Like here's the scenario. The environment gives us something which can be perceived as negative, can be perceived as not working, can be perceived as problematic. The world's ending. But we get to choose to see it like that, or we get to choose to see it as an opportunity.
So clearly that it's my responsibility now to do that for other people. If I have information and, other people's success is my success and vice versa.
Because you know what? Like, the challenges or the roadblocks are the journey themselves.
There's no big things. It's all little things compounding on top of each other.
Coach, welcome to Truth Seekers.
Hey, Coach.
How are you doing?
It's great to be here.
Let's talk about upgrades and standards. Why is it challenging sometimes to move past the level that you're at? I'm thinking about going to that next place, like the opposite of I've always done it this way, or that's just the way it's always been done. Why do people get attached to that?
It's always uncomfortable to go to another place. And because that place is uncomfortable, or maybe even uncertain might be a better word, there's no guarantee that it's better. So there's a bit of a risk reward of giving up something that you're familiar with the prospect of it being better and it not being guaranteed. Maybe that's where the hesitation comes in.
Yeah, like if I make all of this effort to go get this do this new thing and make this experiment, and it doesn't work, then not only do I not get the thing that I was supposed to get, but now I haven't got the thing that I had before.
Yes, I'd say that's pretty well summed up. That's that place of uncertainty with and that's why this is interesting because this has come up a couple times with on the mind scan with some people that I've recently been connecting with. This is that practical thinking in that external dimension. And when you see somebody who has that negative bias or that circles towards the bottom, they think more prominently about what could go wrong or what they'd be sacrificing instead of the potential good that can come from that decision. And as we always know, or as has been confirmed over time, I think we're rewarded when we take that leap. Sometimes it doesn't turn out the way that we think or hope or even imagine it might, but we're rewarded in different ways when we leave that comfort zone of what we're used to, even if it's good, in the pursuit of making it better or to upgrade it, as you put it. The upgrade inevitably happens, but it can't happen without that leap, and that leap can't happen without being okay with some of that uncertainty.
Worst case it for me, Coach, right? Because I completely agree. It's all out there on the other side. Like the next part is the journey. But let's say you do it and you make that leap. And you and I both know that if it doesn't work, it's because you haven't believed that it's not going to work, at least some level. So you've stopped yourself going all in. It's like, well, let me see if the water's good. Okay, let me dip my toe in. It's like, no, you got to jump all the way in and find out. So that aside, let's just say, devil's advocate, worst case, you dive all the way in, but you don't get the upside that you were expecting, that standard up. Then what?
Yeah, then you have that feedback. Then the answer is, okay, great. Like now what do we do with it? It goes back to the adage, there's no bad decisions, there's just opportunities to make more decisions. And if you're getting that feedback of something that you don't want, it's a two-sided stick. So on one end is maybe you didn't get the result you desired, but on the other end is it just helped clarify it that much more, did it not? And we just get that much more clear on either the process or the result that we're desiring that we didn't get the first time around. It's only a failure if you stop right there, right? It's that point in time with I didn't get my result, and therefore this is a failure. Okay, that might be true if you cease to exist in that moment, but if you look at it along a timeline, context and scale, contrast, it's just a blip in on the radar of a moment in time along the journey of success, right? This is Thomas Edison's famous example. He didn't he didn't fail 10,000 times trying to invent the light bulb. He found 10,000 ways that the light bulb didn't work, and then he found one that did.
Boom. Yeah, absolutely. And so that's the reason to keep going. But like you said, as long as you can keep going, that's what you got. But I'd even like to go and create even more certainty in it, right? Because you might think, okay, I lose the thing that I had, right? And that losing something, that's the thing we want to protect most, because we do, that's what they say, right? We'll do more to prevent a loss than we will to get a gain. And we'll do more to prevent that $100 coming out of our wallet than we will do to put another one in there. That's just the psychology of loss. So I like to think of it this way: even if we don't get the upside we want, it's worth going for it in the start, because we've already deemed that what we got is not what we really want. And this is actually more scary to me in some senses, because if we know it's something we don't really like, it's not really the thing we really want, it's just an okay, or it's good for now, and we don't go for it, then we then get into a place where our life is living something that we don't quite want.
Mm.
And isn't that worse than just having everything gone and getting to play again? Like, for me, that's the most scary part. It's like, look, if you don't really want to be where you are and you go for the next best thing, you go, okay, I might lose where I am. But actually, it doesn't matter, because where you are is not where you want to be anyway. So either way, you're getting out of where you are. Either way, it's an upgrade. Even if it's to your point, then we're back to the move forward. You didn't get the outcome you expected, but there's something else to work on. How's that sit with you,
Yeah.
coach?
Yeah, that's part of the rigging the game to win, right? So the game
Yeah.
isn't, well, this better turn out good or else this would have been a mistake. It's recognizing that no matter what turns out, even if it seems like a failure and or another challenging situation, at least I'm not where I was. Like, I'm one step closer to getting more of what I want than just putting up with something that I didn't.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we know, that can be that place of stuckness, right? You get stuck in that, and there's no other better way to describe that, but you know what it is when you're in it, but you can't see what it's like when you're out of it. So that's why, you know, uh, a little prompt or a nudge can be so powerful, because people know that to be true. They just maybe need to hear it a few times or see it, so that they could see themselves for what's actually happening.
It's like you almost want to optimize for being scared, right? Like, we're back to the comfort zone. If you can't see it, you can't see it. So a good check in for yourself is like, am I scared right now? Not really. Okay, well then, what's the thing that I'm putting up with right now that I really shouldn't be putting up with?
Mm.
We know we get what we must get, but it's also true that we get what we tolerate. And sometimes, we tolerate things for a long time before it becomes too much that we have to change. Sometimes forever. Sometimes forever. You might say, well, okay, I love this one in a career. Like, if I keep my head down in my career and just keep doing like the things I can just get away with, then if I'm lucky, I'll get all the way to retirement. It's like, no, that's actually worst case scenario. It means
Yeah.
that you're never actually in a place to get any sort of threshold to change. Like, what have you got? Who are you tricking? That's your life. It's your fulfillment. Like, I made it to retirement. Now what?
Mhm.
Now what? Now you've done the best part of your life, or potentially the best part of your life, doing something that you felt the whole time I was just scraping by, getting away with. Like, for what? Where's your fulfillment? Like, where are you going to start to do that?
Mm.
Take a lot of solace in that.
Yeah, what is it about that? There could be a number of different reasons where somebody finds themselves in their scenario, one of those scenarios. And, one of them could be, you know, uh, found a job that was paying decent enough to support, maybe there's family involved, or even if it's just yourself. And at a certain point, it was good, it was enough. And then things can happen along the way, new leadership comes in, or just you start to experience the monotony of something that excited you before but no longer excites you. I just wonder what that is for what, why does it become hard to change, right? Like whoever's in that position to begin with, that was a change they experienced at one point to find that as a new role. So regardless of whether 1 year has passed or 20, I wonder what it is about that stuckness that, do people not feel like they have options, or is it like where does that fear or hesitation come from making that switch? And to your point, might be the frame of this conversation with your standard. If your standard is of good enough is good enough, then it's just a perpetual cycle, and you'll find yourself in all of these situations that, it's good enough. It's not limited to your job. It's the same with your relationships, probably, right? Or your
Mhm.
athletics, or whatever else you're involved with. It probably shows up in multiple places in your life. So that's why upgrading a standard in one area is so powerful, because all of a sudden you're upgrading in all of the areas of your life.
Yes, that's it. Like that's exactly it. Because as soon as you stop pushing to the next place, then you start settling for what you have, and the momentum is what you lose, and the hardest part is the momentum going in the first place.
Hmm.
That's why it can appear for some people that they just get on some crazy trajectory of like amazingness, but they're just doing the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And I just actually got off talking to Coach Eric about this, right? 'Cause we talk about that comfort zone in the middle. There's enough pain to get you to the comfort zone, and once you get to the comfort zone, it's like, ah. But the only thing that's going to happen there is a regression back to the pain. You've got to keep pushing to that next level. And that's why people stop and they go, oh, everything's okay. And then they might not go all the way down to like the -10 pain they were before. So they can look net, oh, I'm up. But they live their life between being okay and pain rather than being okay is the worst thing. It's no different. It's no harder to keep going through the okay to make a 7 the worst you ever go to. And you can't be at a 10 all the time. You can't be at 10 all the time. Otherwise, like by definition, it wouldn't be a 10 if you're there all the time. But you've got to play in that upper part of it. So if you keep going, the muscle keeps getting built, and it's easier to do it. And so that's why some people that aren't in that place can look at someone that operates in that upper side and go, I can't believe how they keep doing it. I could say they do it once, but how can they keep doing it? It's because it doesn't feel the same. It doesn't feel like it's a huge thing every time because they're just doing a little bit more than what they got. And that's why we look at our coaching practice this year for next year and going, okay, cool. Like, well, let's not think in terms of like, it's okay, 3, 5, 10, 15, 20% incremental upgrades. Let's ask different questions that allow for 100, 200% upgrades because we're just playing a different game with it. And it makes no difference because we're used to pushing outside the envelope anyway. So if you're going to push outside the envelope, you might as well push all the way outside the envelope, something that really excites you to get the drive. The goal might as well be the thing that you actually want if you're being honest with yourself, because it's going to be just as challenging to get the thing that you kind of want, would be nice to have, would stop me feeling pain. Got to go for what you really want.
That's the hugest distinction right there. It's the same effort. It's a different result, though. So instead of just treading water and spending the effort doing that, you might as well spend the effort pushing that extra little bit to get what you actually want. What might you say to somebody who, that maybe it just sounds exhausting to people to live like it's a mentality, right? It's a mindset, it's a lifestyle to constantly be living in this area of constant upgrade. I think, what might you say to the people with like, I upgrade so that I can be comfortable. Like that's my goal, is to be comfortable. Why can't I just get there and settle into something?
Yeah, because that's all you'll ever do. And it will feel every time that you have to come back and pull yourself back out the pain to the comfort, it will feel like the worst thing in the world. But if you've got that graph, like the +10 to -10, like 10 -10 being absolute pain, +10 being absolute pleasure. The between the -3 and the +3 is kind of the comfort zone, let's say, or maybe -4 to +4, whatever, something like that. Coming from a -4 to a +3, +4 is amazingly challenging. But going from a +3, +4 to like a +5 or +6 is no big deal, relatively speaking. So
Yeah.
the people that go, I just want to get back to comfortable is because they're so sick and tired of pulling themselves out of the pain to get back to the comfort. And then what they're perceiving is that a linear journey, that this can be just as much effort to get to the next 3 or 4 points up. But it's not. It's an exponential journey. And our minds have a real problem with that. And in fact, that brings me on to a article I was reading the other day about this. It's so important because it's a reminder that that is not how our brains work. And I'll share this with you, Coach. We can put it perhaps in the show notes. I don't know. But there's a quote that I loved. The greatest shortcomings of the human race is our inability to understand the exponential function. So that's the quote. We cannot think in exponential functions. Intellectually we can. Our default always, if it took me 9 hours to get from 1 to 4, it's going to take me 9 hours to get to 5 to 9. But that's not how life is, right? So that's my answer to that. It's harder, and I just want to get to the comfort. It's just what you're perceiving is an effort on the other side. It's not really the case. That's why, again, the rich get richer, because they're just doing the simple things that are on top of the simple things they've already done just to keep going. It's easier. It's easier to be successful.
That's the difference with the standard. So the effort isn't different. That's the standard of going between pain and comfort versus comfort and what's the opposite of pain? Pleasure, right? So
yeah.
So you're bobbing up and down in these different dimensions. And to your point, it's difficult to go from a -3 to a +3 or +5 or whatever that pleasure is. So we want to make incremental improvements to change the normal, change the standard, and then the standard all of a sudden doesn't become moving between -6 and -3. It's moving between 0 and +6 or +3 and +6.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, said differently. How might this look in a practical sense? It's if you've waiting for the pain, like I'm comfortable, and then your business goes under because you haven't been going to the next level. You've just been making it okay. Something happens in the macro environment, and your business goes under. You've now got all the pain to go back and have to start from scratch again. And you'll do it because it will be a must. And then you'll just get up to the comfort and go, oh, I'm there again. I hope, fingers crossed, something else doesn't happen. That's just the way it is. Versus if you keep going through that comfort to the pleasure, you'll be already thinking about, okay, I'm going to go and start another company. But you'll be doing it where you've got like $10 million of capital, not 0. And you've got to go beg, borrow, and steal from your friends to get things started again. So the level which you're starting at, so if it crashes, you crash from 10 to +2 rather than from +3 to -7. You're in a completely different place. And so it's how you position yourself to, like, of course there's gonna be things that are outside of us that happen that impact us, but it's what we do to position ourselves is the impact of what those things are is what's important. Yeah. And then what we do with them on top of that. That's the key.
I'm glad you made that distinction. That will become my takeaway for today. I wrote this down. Comfort is equal to just waiting for the pain. Right? If you're in the comfort zone, like, congratulations. Unless you act proactively to move towards the pleasure, the only thing that will get you to act again is bringing on pain or allowing pain to creep in.
Yes, and I'll underscore that with an example. So Waverly, who's going to be 6 next week, by the way, do you know that?
I did, yeah.
She had the flu last week, right? So we're trying to give her something to get her temperature down. And she's like, no, I'm not doing it. Like, it's 2:00 in the morning. And she's like freezing cold, but like 103 temperature. I don't want to do it. Like, I said, babe, we have to do the meds. Like, it's happening. And like, she knows at some level, she knows it's going to happen. When she's just putting it back, she's like, I want the comfort of the bed. But I want to stay in the comfort as long as I can. Because I'm just trying to prevent the pain from coming. But it's leaning into it in the first place. If she just leant into it in the first place, like, there would be no pain because the medicine stays fine, and she'll just got out of bed and go back in. But she's like, in the pain, I'm just trying to stay in the comfort to prevent the pain, and it makes it worse. On that note, Coach, go forward, I think it's very topical. We'll think about for this year, for next year as well. Lots of stuff in that. Appreciate you.
Onward. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you for watching another episode of Truth Seekers. We appreciate your interaction. So please comment, like, subscribe to YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you want more, check out some of our links. Links to our masterclass, The Achiever's Mindset, and come join our LinkedIn group. And what do you want to see more of? Remember, we're here to share the simple secrets of successful. So help us do that. What do you want to see? What do you want to see more of? Thanks. I'll see you again next time.